Hello, you pirates. I'm Napzok, the eye-hole space rat of pets, and it's time for your weekly Star Wars Power Rankings. This is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself, featuring the insights of Joseph Scrimshaw, Jen Landa, and myself. Subscribe now to join our celebration of the greatest saga ever told. Who or what is at the top of the Star Wars world? To the rankings we go. Number 3, Balen Skoll. Rory McCann is joining the Star Wars universe, and that's a big yarp for me. Last week's scoop rumors were confirmed that the Game of Thrones star will be taking over the role of Balen Skoll, first played by the late Ray Stevenson. Stevenson had brought a layered, stoic intensity to the first season of Ahsoka. His personal history was burned deep into his eyes, and his energy reached 2 feet out in front of him as he sought a power that would press the reset button on the Jedi, the Sith, and perhaps the entire galaxy itself. And the season ended with Skoll literally on the edge of finding what he needed. Maybe. Continuing the character's story in some ways seemed to be a foregone conclusion. The character was central to the series, and his quest was decidedly unfinished, but now we know that Balen Skoll will go on. The fandom threw many great replacement options out there. I was partial to Liev Schreiber, mostly because of his narration work on HBO's Hard Knocks. He turned the tale of my 2023 Miami Dolphins into a mythic quest for redemption and absolution for the mistakes of the past. He sounded like a Jedi at times and carried the sting of a Sith at other times. The season didn't end well for us. Graham McTavish was an option mentioned a few times by ForceCenter viewers, and I was all on board for that one as well. If you can hold your own on both Westeros and Middle-earth, then Star Wars would be a nice fit. But now we know Rory McCann will be there, and there's a lot to celebrate in that choice. He'll bring the hulking frame, that stoic burn, and perhaps, most importantly, the ability to grow a great beard. There's also a lot to wonder about. What will McCann's own artistic choices be for this character? What new layers can he show us as a performer? And again, how great will his beard be? All of that will be answered in time, but for now, let's celebrate that one of the more intriguing new Star Wars characters will be going forward. Seek a power that no one fully understands. Number 2, viewership numbers. We try to put forth good stories here. We celebrate what we love, not bark about what chaps our hides, which is exactly what was written in those Jedi books Luke wanted to burn. But it's hard to ignore that one of the most powerful things in Star Wars this week was viewership numbers, as in the reportedly low viewership numbers for the recently completed joy of a show, Skeleton Crew. Let's note here first that the reports aren't from dubious sources like angry dudes in cars, trailer reactors turned grifters, or thick-headed man-boys who struggle to process anything about Star Wars till they repeat the word lore until their audience is convinced that they understand the art that they're hate-watching. Forbes reported it. And if Forbes reported it, then you know it must be true. And beyond that, entirely in good faith. Look, viewership numbers are a concern in a business built on eyes watching it. And I wish every Star Wars show, hell, I wish any show that I love got so many views that Bob Iger's mouth salivated at all the casual yet sophisticated dad sweaters he's going to buy. But that's not the reality, and this truth can affect the business. The Acolyte was expensive according to many metrics used. It didn't generate as many views as people wanted, aka subscriptions, aka the lifeblood of Disney+, aka the very thing Bob Iger wanted to build his legacy on before retiring into the sunset, loved by all. Instead, streaming has become a listing pleasure yacht for Disney and every studio, and Iger returned to his old job after human thumb Bob Chapek was fired at an Elton John concert. The actual viewing numbers were at the center of the WGA strike in 2023, and one thing is clear. Streaming numbers across the board have flatlined, if you're one of the lucky ones. Most have taken a dive worse than Mike Tyson losing to a boxing bucket of ooze. You know that cool show you like? The one on that streaming service you signed up for on a free trial but now costs you $24.99 a month to still stare at ads? Yeah, that show that won all the awards? About 23 people are watching it. This isn't a Star Wars thing, this isn't a Marvel thing, this isn't a Game of Thrones thing or a Rings of Power thing. And this sure as hell isn't a woke thing. All of you culture warriors afraid of your own fragility. This is a system thing. The system is broken. Skeleton Crew was a top-quality program, one of my favorite Star Wars things ever, which, by the way, is called an opinion, not a fact. I loved it. You don't have to. It was also released after a year's delay during 2 of the most celebrated holidays in history. Apologies to Arbor Day. It costs too much to watch TV. Social media is fractured. There's no central figurative water cooler anymore. None of us are watching Tim the Toolman Taylor grunt like the thick log of a man he is every Tuesday at 9, 8 Central. Those days are gone. Those numbers are gone. But corporations answering to stockholders are still going to hold up the standards of old against the art of today. Viewership numbers are the batting average of TV stats. It sure looks cool when you bat 300 and your grandpa tells you that's what makes a Hall of Famer, but it's an empty number now that no longer measures your true worth as a player or your value as a piece of art. So yeah, talk about the numbers, but also talk about the system that disrupted what was working and created those low numbers. Not just the shows, and certainly not just the fans moved by them. Number 1, heroes, as in the real good guys, the people we look to when the light goes out. Star Wars loves heroes. It has been central to the story since a young farm boy looked out into the binary sunset and wondered if there was a place for him beyond his current view. We all need heroes. But a lot of people, a lot of our society, frankly, act like a title is what makes you a hero, when the truth is your actions make you a hero, and actions are choices. Jedi should be a hero, but they can make choices that change that. This doesn't always mean they're the villain. In this modern myth for the pop culture era, we see it displayed as a fall to the dark side, a fall that is often never reversed, or if it is, it comes at the very end of our lives. That's great mythic storytelling. It's a heightened lesson, but it's fair to analyze heroes and villains in a more nuanced way, and a lot of modern Star Wars has. And by modern Star Wars, I'm including the prequels, because I was old enough to rent a car when they were in theaters. They're still new to me, damn it. Heroes, governments, and ancient orders of fighting wizard monks, they all can lose their way. And I love the Star Wars stories that question all those things. But at no point does Star Wars throw the concept of heroes out with the back to bathwater. If you're ever at a party or bar and someone says they love The Last Jedi because it was about the need to get rid of the Jedi, walk away. The conversation's done. There are opinions, and then there are complete misreadings of stories and themes. The third act of that film literally proclaims that the Jedi will go on. The prequels show the fall of the Order, but ends with the dawn of a new hope. The Kenobi series is about a former hero rediscovering and reconnecting to his purpose as a Jedi. Ahsoka Tano walked away from the Jedi to fully become what the Order first set out to be, helpers and protectors. Heroes are central to the Star Wars story, and the Skeleton Crew found a warm, wonderful, and fun way to show how your choices define you, not just the title. It celebrated how being a hero is about connection, community, and lifting up all around you. Not about power, not about credits, and definitely not just about having a lightsaber. And none of this is as simple as it seems. One of Star Wars' great strengths is showing big concepts in a fun, direct way. Good, bad, light, dark. But Skeleton Crew allowed for the complicated layers in all of us. It spoke to kids, and the kids we are all still inside. Jod Nawad chose the dark, but his journey and choices aren't done. Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil aren't chosen ones. They haven't listened to the call of destiny, and Neil might never leave that bathtub. But through their adventure, both their successes and failures, we learned that you can choose to help others. You can choose the light. You can be a hero. Balen Skull, viewership numbers, and heroes. Number 3, 2, and 1 in this week's Star Wars Power Rankings. I'm Ken Napzok. See you next time here on ForceCenter.